Well, good evening and welcome to Manchester. We are in the bubble and we are ready to get going. It is Chisora Parker, I should say. Katie Tayor against Tasha Jonas with a packed undercard. Adam Smith is with me now. Adam, set this up. We can talk about the undercard later, but the top two fights I've mentioned there are very, very exciting.
Yeah, fantastic fights, aren't they? I mean, really interested to see how Joseph Parker has done with Andy Lee in training in Dublin. New move for him, back in the ring. And Dereck Chisora, we know, coming off the titanic effort against Alexander Usyk, always in exciting fights, and it's a really good heavyweight match. And maybe the match of the night is Katie Tayor against Tasha Jonas. Johnny Nelson and I were lucky enough to be there at the Olympics when I think it broke all decibels, all records for the atmosphere and the noise in the XL that day. And you know, they've waited many years before they can fight again. So really looking forward to it. Jonas on great form, Katie unbeaten, set up beautifully.
Okay, I'm going to step out of vision now. Let's get over to our MC, David Diamante, who's going to bring in our first fighter.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Manchester, England, for the media workout for this huge blockbuster night of fights taking place this Saturday night, May 1st, here in Manchester, England. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, and it'll be broadcast live around the world on Sky Sports Box Office and DAZN. Our first fighter coming in today, 19 years old, from Manchester, England. One fight, one victory. Please welcome the Hurricane, Campbell Hatton.
Adam, have you got over your nostalgia yet? It was a bit of a shock for you, wasn't it? I think we all felt the same as Oasis and Blue Moon started on the top of the ramp in Gibraltar. It just felt like a step back into time. I don't know if you've recovered, have you?
I looked over at Matthew Macklin and I think there was a tear in both our eyes. I mean, it really did take us back, and you know, it was such an incredible journey with his dad. You know, Ricky was you know, the fighter that came out of Manchester at that time, the fighter that came out of Britain, unheard of support, and it was a phenomenal, you know, journey from start to finish with Ricky. And of course, you know, we got to know Campbell as a baby, as a young kid growing up, and he was never into boxing. He was into music, and he played the guitar, and I don't think Ricky ever wanted him to go down that route, but you know, he went in the gym and he got the bug, and you know, he's been dedicated ever since. Great to see Matthew, Uncle Matt, you know, training him. Matt, who had a great career himself, so you know, huge experience around young Campbell, but huge pressure too. And I think, you know, we saw that a little bit in Gibraltar on his debut. Always going to be tough with you know, that sort of attention on you, and I think he was disappointed with you know, his first 4 rounds. But you know, it's done, and he can move on. And this is fight number 2, and we're here in Manchester, and I know it's a dream of his to fight at the arena that was the fortress of his dad for so many years. And you know, I think he'll settle down, and you know, we'll see him sort of carve his own story, his own journey. He's only 20, he's had very little amateur experience, very different to his dad, more like his uncle actually. And I think it's really good that Matt's sort of taking the training charge, and Ricky's just taking a little step back. And you know, we know how emotional Ricky gets, but there's huge support around him. Obviously he's got, you know, the power of Matchroom and of 258 management, so it's all set up for Campbell, and he seems a great guy, and he reminds us all of a young Ricky.
Let's pick the bones out of that. One of the things he told us earlier was he just got too carried away with trying to knock his opponent out, loaded up too much. That has to go down to debut nerves, though, despite the fact he was so calm all week, saying he hadn't been sucked into it. I think 500 fans singing "There's Only One Campbell Hatton." He wanted to close the show with a knockout, but that is experience.
It is, but of course everyone on their debut wants to shine. You know, our own Johnny Nelson tried first 3 fights, he lost. I remember, you know, Ryan Rhodes and Jamie Moore having difficult times on their debuts. You know, it's tough, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to, you know, go places even if you have a sort of average debut. It's he's a young guy, and he's taking all this on board. He was expected to win. He was expected to look, you know, fantastic and razzle dazzle, but he's not his dad. He's his own man, and he probably just rushed his work a little bit too overeager. You know, it's good to see that he was not entirely happy with that performance. They've gone back to the gym, back to the training camp, and they've decided, you know, look, we'll go again in Manchester. This is step number 2. It's going to be a slow education. You know, as I said, he hasn't got the amateur experience that his father had, who was, you know, a top amateur, and when he turned pro, there was a lot of excitement generated because of how good he was in the unpaid ranks. Whereas Campbell's turned pro young, he's turned pro without that sort of experience. But there were things to like about him as well on that debut, even though that he wasn't happy with it.
There's that element of kind of what you're saying there. He is going to be learning on the job, which comes with the pitfalls of we're all going to judge him straight away. The things that you picked up that you did like, there was some good body work there. Shock horror. Hatton throws a good body shot.
Shock horror, body work, volume, variety, pace. That's Hatton trademarks, isn't it? And it's going to be very difficult because he's always going to have that. That name to sort of protect him, and he'll be there to be shot at from other fighters, and everyone will want to get in the ring and be the first man to try and beat Campbell. But he's very dedicated, and we've seen with Nigel and Conor Benn, we've seen with Chris Eubank Sr. and Junior. It's up to them to take their own careers forward, and the name obviously gives you the headlines, and it gives you maybe the early support and the fan base. But ultimately, it's up to you, to make that move and that journey. And Campbell's he's not saying I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, I'm going to be as great as my dad. Nothing like that. He's doing his own.
Very level-headed.
He's very level-headed, and he's doing his own thing. He was mentioning the other Manchester fighters like Anthony Crolla and Michael Gomez, Jamie Moore, and he's saying, I just want to be, I want to be like them. I want to, that's his dream. His dream is not just to be like his dad. His dream is to be what the best Campbell Hatton can be. And I think that's what Matthew had. And Matthew is the brother of Ricky who went first, obviously had more natural talent. But Matt, he was telling us earlier, I forgot he had 52 professional fights. He shared the ring with Canelo, European champion. He had a great career. And at the beginning, it didn't look like he would have that natural talent that Ricky had. And, he lost early, and he had a couple of disappointing performances, and people thought, oh, Matt's going to level out. But you know what? He did really well. And I think that Campbell's got every chance because of his dedication and because of the people around him.
One of the things he said he was most disappointed was, it's something that we can pick up on here because we can actually watch the pad work. He said behind closed doors, I did so much in preparation that I didn't show. I just didn't transfer what I had done in the gym on the night. Again, I go back to the fact that I think we all understand that a professional debut for anyone, not just Campbell Hatton, but for anyone, is a free hit. I think judge now, maybe start judging now. Can we just quickly mention on the opponents? So Campbell Hatton takes on Levi Dunn over 4 rounds. What do you know about Levi? He's had 4 fights so far, which is a pretty good effort with the lockdown and the pandemic that we've been suffering. He got stopped in his first fight, but he has gone the distance in the last 3. So it's interesting, isn't it? The matchmaking is going to be key here.
Of course it is, and he's obviously the whole setup around Campbell is for him to get the win, and I think more for him it's the manner of victory on Saturday night.
And learning fights.
Yeah, and to sort of he wants to show the class. You can see how quick he is on the pads. He's got speed, he's got pace, he's got a lot of tenacity that the name goes with, and he'll have a huge fan base. But of course, no fans in there in the Manchester arena. It's a massive opportunity for Levi Dunn, who hasn't won, but he's been active. So that's something, and it's just testing the waters in these early days. This is about building blocks. It's about, as you said, education. It's about learning how to cope with different styles. And remember, because of actual amateur career, he'll have to take longer with the early professional education than maybe others who were ABA champions and Team GB. They could be moved quicker.
Ladies and gentlemen, the undefeated young charge from Manchester, Campbell, the Hurricane Hatton.
Okay, so Campbell's just going to have some photos taken, and then we are going to have a opportunity to have a quick word with him before he joins our colleagues over at Sky Sports News. Campbell, I can talk to you while you're having your gloves taken. No, you can take them off, Matt, while we're talking. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't want to keep you from your job. What do you want to show us on Saturday that you feel that you perhaps didn't show us in Gibraltar?
Yeah, I've got a good boxing brain. Last time I got a bit drawn in, made me work a bit messy, so I want to show a bit more class this time.
How does it feel coming home to Manchester? I mean, we're trying not to put too much pressure on you, but it is a chance to box at the old MEN, the AO Arena now. Is that going to be another box ticked? I know how desperately you would have wanted to do it in front of fans, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, definitely. It'd have been a It'd have been great to have like a crowd there, all my friends and family, but crowd or no crowd, I'm still buzzing. Yeah. It's always been a dream of mine to box at the arena, so like you say, it's another box ticks, yeah.
How do you compare the 2 fight weeks? I mean, no offence to anyone, it's not quite the sunshine of Gibraltar. I know we're locked in the hotel, but it's been cats and dogs all week so far. How do you feel sort of from a mentality point of view? You have had the experience of a fight week under your belt. Are there nerves now? Is it a different sort of nerves? Is it a completely different feeling? Yeah, there's nerves with every fight, but it's like night and day compared to last time, where this time I've been like so much more relaxed, and obviously it's a bit more like normality, isn't it? Just down the road instead of getting on planes and stuff. So yeah, it's like last time I thought I was calm, but now I've got something to compare it to. Like I was like my backside was going, so see, I stopped myself there. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, so so I can just relax and enjoy this one and take it all in, and I think we'll see the difference this weekend.
How many times do you think you watched your dad's fights from the MEN, and what will it be like standing at the top of the ramp, knowing that you're treading in the same footsteps, going down in the same shoes, sort of experiencing the same things that he experienced? Yeah, I must have watched that Chisora fight 100 times, and I want that for myself. And like this weekend, it's probably, well, it isn't going to be the same sort of atmosphere, but like it's a start in it, and down the line I want the same things as he had. Brilliant. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go because I think you got our colleagues over at Sky Sports News when you get a chance. If I just ask Matt, can you stay with us just for a sec? And yeah. I know I'm going to throw back over to our MC, David Diamante, who's just going to bring in our next fighter.
Ladies and gentlemen, the media workout continues from right here in Manchester, England, and our next fighter will be competing for the IBO Vacant Lightweight Championship of the World. Making his way from Belfast, Northern Ireland, 28-3 with 24 big wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the hard-hitting assassin from Belfast, James Tennyson.
Okay, so let James Tennyson just go for a limber up. Matt, I've kept you here for a reason, just because we want to have a quick word with you. Campbell's so level-headed. I did mention to him earlier, obviously, he was disappointed. We could tell on the microphone he was saying to you as soon as the final bell went, he wasn't happy with how he boxed. But is this just not part of the journey? You know, there was a lot of expectation, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and although he didn't show it at any point, he must have been suffering the nerves. And how do you reflect on the whole debut experience for him?
Absolutely, you know, he's only human. He's a young man, and it was a big night for him. In reality, you know, Campbell can do a lot better, and I'm sure in the years to come we'll see him do a lot better. But it was a huge night. Sometimes it doesn't matter how much you tell these young lads, relax, go in there, take your time, pick your shots.
Were you told the same thing?
Yeah, I was. I think every guy making the debut is told the same thing, but sometimes they just have to get in there and experience for themselves, which he's done now. It's behind him. It's a good one to get out of the way, and I'm sure we're going to see better things to come and what he can really do.
Yeah, you went back to the gym and you will have worked on things. He's very clear about what he feels he does in the gym, works for him, and he wants to produce that on fight night. Is it just a case of, it sounds very simple, doesn't it, just reproducing what you do behind closed doors?
Absolutely, and Campbell's in a very fortunate position. You know, sometimes fighters feel like they don't fight their best, they're down about it, and they're down about it for months till they get the chance to get in there again. But it's still fresh in Campbell's head. You know, it's only a few weeks away, so he's very fortunate he gets the chance to go in there on Saturday and put these things right.
I'm sure he will, and I mean,
Sure he will.
I feel like we've all been very sort of hard on him, like we're doing everything we can to not put the pressure on him, but then as soon as we start interviewing him, it's pressure.
Yeah, well, this is something he's got to get used to. You know, at the end of the day, we want Campbell to become a star, and if he wants to become a star, these are things he's got to produce the goods. You know, these media things that he's simply got to do, and it's all great learning experience for him.
Am I right in saying on Jenna's Facebook that I saw that your son has started to hit the pads? There's another Hatton coming through. If you thought that it was over, it's just started, isn't it?
Oh, we've got a conveyor belt at the Hatton family, let me tell you. So yeah, he's just started boxing and he's enjoying it at the minute. But who knows? You know, I think obviously seeing how Campbell's coming through now. Jack's obviously sat home thinking, I fancy a piece of this action, and I know exactly where it's coming from. That was me a few years ago with my brother, and Campbell now, and who knows?
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, in 10 years' time, I'll see you here with Jack, and hopefully I still look as young as you. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Speak to you later in the week.
Isn't that lovely hearing, Andy? It really is. You know, Jack now getting.
I'm not sure for poor Ray and Carol it's lovely too.
I'm not sure for Ray and Carol thought it'd be all over, wouldn't they? But they'll be watching and cheering from home on Saturday night, obviously with Jenna and Jack and all of them. But yeah, the conveyor belt of Hattons, isn't it? Isn't it great? I tell you what, I wish there was a conveyor belt of James Tennyson's. How exciting is this guy?
Well, Mr. Excitement. I don't think we're overplaying it. Eddie Hearn has said it before. Britain's most entertaining fighter. He doesn't say much on the microphone, but he's the definition of someone that lets his fists do the talking. I don't think I'm overplaying him here either. Just James Tennyson brings excitement, brings knockout power.
Yeah, 24 knockouts in his 28 victories, and I think he's had 5 on the spin of late. Obviously, the ones that stand out, Craig Evans, Gavin Gwynn in 6 rounds, and then Josh O'Reilly, who was unbeaten, he took out in a round. He's got...
And the Atif Shafiq knockout was heavy as well.
Yeah, he really has, serious power in those fists. You say he's very quietly spoken outside the ring, very polite, very respectful, and you asked him the other day about the switch, and I think that's important for someone like James Tennyson, because when he goes in there, he's a different beast to when he's the nice guy outside of the ring, the quietly spoken guy, and he's a very, very dangerous fighter. Certainly at this sort of level, we want to see whether he can. He's had that one shot earlier at the world title level, but now he looks better, doesn't he, at lightweight? He looks better at 9 stone 9, and really looking forward to this against this Giovanni Straffon from Mexico, who's on a winning run as well, and he carries plenty of power as well. I think 16 knockouts in his 23 wins. So really looking forward to this. Any James Tennyson fight is one to get interested in.
It's not just the fact that I'm being lazy and saying, a Mexican from the away corner could cause an upset, but I think one thing we did learn, and Tyson Fury tweeted about it, inactivity is key, but also like the away corner coming with more belief in lockdown. We've seen more shocks than we've ever had. Warrington Lara was the big one. It is beware of the away corner. This isn't a done deal. This isn't a foregone conclusion by any stretch of the imagination.
No, absolutely not. Straffon's 27. They're the same age. He's got, ambitions and dreams himself. He's not got that many names on the record.
No, the Tony Louise one is one that stands out. I remember watching
24-3. Tony Louise lost to Derry Matthews.
Yeah, so I remember watching that one on Box Nation up in Scotland, I think it was, and he gave Derry a very tough night. So that is pedigree, but it was 3.5 years ago. So.
But O'Reilly came last time with an unbeaten record of 16, and people were saying that he was going to give James a really tough night, and I think that he's got momentum, and I think when a fighter's got that, he's probably the most rewarded fighter in many ways since the pandemic started. So you've got to continue that.
For the IBO Lightweight Championship of the World, the assassin James Tennyson from Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Yeah, should just mention it is the IBO title on the line. I think James just going to pose for 1 or 2 photos before we get a quick word with him.
Really nice guy, dad, and very calm outside the ring. See what he says.
James, we're live on our Sky Sports platforms. Good to see you. It's something that we've seen many, many times, but you hit the pads hard. Is that a sign of what we can expect on Saturday night? It's more of the same. It's knockout power, and you want to end this fight in the distance.
Absolutely, that's what I'm here to do. If I can get him out of there early, 100%. That's what I'll be doing.
How key is momentum and staying busy for you? Do you feel that you've sort of got stuck in the right kind of rut? You're in this groove now, and things are flowing. Yeah, that's exactly it. I've been stuck in the right kind of rut. I've got the right team around me. The momentum's been going great. Throughout lockdown, I've been very busy, very active, and my career's been on the rise, so it's great. We know Giovanni Straffon on paper. We've seen him knocking around the hotel. Haven't seen too much of him. Have you bumped into him yet? Have you had a chance to size him up? I know Mark Dunlop was asking me what he was like when he took his top off, having his photos, and it's just nothing to read. There's not much out there. What do you know about him? Same scenario. There's not much to read. I think I bypassed him once. There wasn't even a bit of eye contact. It was just a brief bypass. So. It's a bit of the unknown. I'll just have to go in focused and on my game. Yeah, at the same time, is it about just trusting your skills? It's all well and good worrying, sitting up at night thinking about what he's going to do, but you can only control the controllables, and that's what you can do. Absolutely, I'm not worried about what he's going to do. I'm pretty sure the tables, the shoes on the other foot, he's definitely going to be worried about what I'm going to do, but I'm just focused on trusting my ability. Eddie Hearn's made no secret that he sees your future at world title level. I know this has got a strap on the line, the IBO, which I know you're going to be very proud to hopefully get your hands on. But do you see this just, there's some momentum now, that boulder rolling down a hill, and it's all in your favour?
That's exactly how I'm looking at it. You know, it's just gonna start something great for me here. You know, this is where the big fights are going to come in thick and fast for me. The big fights are going to be more titles, and you know, I plan on winning them.
How on earth did you box at weights lower than this? Where did you squeeze it all in? I just don't know. I mean, you're big at this weight, and there's talk about you going up in weight. I mean, how did you box at feather, super feather? I don't understand.
Do you know what? I actually don't understand myself, because I've always been in around the same height. So how I done the weights below is beyond me. I'm not sure, but obviously you've seen I managed to get it done.
Yeah, and that's all credit to your professionalism. Go well on Saturday. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, let's get back over to our Master of Ceremonies, David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, the media workout continues from right here in Manchester, England. And our next contest and the fighter that will be coming up and working out, he is the challenger for one of our many world title fights on the card. It'll be 12 rounds of boxing scheduled for the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship of the world. And right now, the challenger making his way to the ring. His professional record, 16-1-1, with 9 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Crystal Palace, London, ladies and gentlemen, Craig Spider Richards.
I mean, we don't really want to mention spiders around the bubble too much because of what happened to Joseph Parker in the build-up, but this is one spider we do want to talk about. Craig Richards, opportunity knocks. What an opportunity for him. Takes on Dmitry Bivol. Adam, set this one up for us.
First of all, I really like Craig Richards. I think he's a terrific fighter, and I think he's a great guy. He's with Peter Sims, and they've gone quietly about their work. It's been tough at times. Remember him coming in at very, very short notice, 5 days' notice to fight Frank Buglioni on the huge build down in Cardiff. You know, he takes his opportunities, and he's been waiting around. And you know, his recent British title win. While we didn't cover it, it was a great watch, because I thought he was fantastic that night. And it's a huge ask. It's a huge ask against a guy of Dmitry Bivol's pedigree, quality, status. You know, he's undefeated world champion. You know, he's a brilliant. Still, if we call him a prospect, but. You know, look, he's been out the ring a while. Dmitry probably needs a big performance, and yeah, this is a real chance. It's a golden chance for Craig Richards. You know, he's a British champion, and he's done what's been asked of him so far. And I like the fact that he answered the call to fight Frank Buglioni. So why not, when he's had a good win, give him a chance to rise the levels and have a shot at this dream. He's 30 now. A lot of people will say he's got a minimal chance in this fight. But you know what? He's got a great trainer. He's clever. He's got a lot to like about him. I think he's hitting a lot harder at light heavyweight than he did at super middle. And you never know. And as you've said, there's been a lot of strange results in the pandemic. A lot of away fighters have come in. Well, he's the sort of home fighter who's coming in as a challenger. And people will say, look, it's mission impossible. Nothing is impossible in boxing. He's got a chance as long as he's in there. It's a small chance. Let's be realistic. Let's be honest about it. But he has that opportunity, and that's all you can ask for, and that's all he wanted.
Yeah, Dmitry Bivol, phenomenal amateur record. Is it fair to say that he exploded onto the scene, certainly on Sky Sports platform over in Monte Carlo, with that brutal, devastating knockout of Trent Broadhurst? After that, he has had the stoppage of Sullivan Barrera, who's a tricky night's work for everyone. Yep. The Joe Smith win looks better as time goes on, because we know how
Pascal Chilemba.
Yep. I wonder at the time, I might be speaking out of time, but at the time people thought it was like a second coming of Triple G, that it was a one-punch knockout merchant. That's not really been the case. High quality operator, yes, but perhaps not the one-punch knockout artist that win in Monte Carlo suggested.
Yeah, sometimes you get that sort of electrifying victory, which is what that was, and it was the first time a lot of people have seen Dmitry Bivol, and of course in the sort of quiet, almost eerie atmosphere of Monte Carlo.
Similar to this is why we're whispering, because we are really close.
A little bit like all of this at the moment without the crowds, and the Monte Carlo crowd very, very different, of course, and it was the sort of almost the brutality of that knockout that sort of made. Well, sent shockwaves around, didn't it, from what Bivol can do. The win over Joe Smith looks really good now. He's unbeaten still in 17, but he's been out a while, so the Richards camp will be hoping there's a bit of ring rust there. And you know, they know what they've got in front of them. They've got an elite fighter, and which will make the win, if they can somehow manage it, it will make it even more sweeter because, you know, in the city, of course, we just saw Campbell Hatton, where Ricky Hatton upset the odds against Kostya. You know, a lot of people wrote Ricky off that night, and you know, there's been so many stories. You know, Steve Robinson winning the world featherweight title at 48 hours' notice. He just came in as a guy no one thought was going to do anything, and he'd lost a huge amount already, and you know, he stepped up and he won the world title. So these things occasionally can happen. As I said, you know, realistically, it's going to be a tough ask for Craig Richards, of course, because he's jumping not just 1 but 2, maybe even 3 levels, you know, from domestic base. But look, he's taken on a lot of good domestic fighters. He's had some really good victories. Had that defeat against Buglioni, but you can't read anything into that because he came in at 5 days' notice. I just like Craig Richards. I like the way he's gone about his career, and I like his sisters as well, who make so much noise at ringside, who unfortunately can't be here. It's a family affair. Peter Sims, Tony's brother, doesn't get the kudos and the sort of star treatment maybe sometimes that Tony gets, because, you know, Tony's got that bigger stable. But Peter's good, and Peter is very close to Craig. They're a good little team, and look, you know, he's got a lot of ability, Craig Richards. I think there's been a number of times, even at domestic level, even below domestic level, when we have all been probably, you know, culpable of writing him off or of underestimating him. But he's got something about him, Craig Richards. Whether it's enough to even dent Dmitry Bivol, we'll find out on Saturday night. But I think even a really good performance, a really good gritty showing, can stand him in good stead. And you know, he's got some big fights ahead, win or lose.
We are privileged because in the bubble we do get access to fighters pretty much around the clock, and we had some time to sit down with Craig Richards earlier. There are no nerves whatsoever. It's not a situation where he's stepped up onto this card and he's being overawed.
He seems so happy, Andy, and there is no pressure. There's no pressure on his shoulders. It's a dream shot for Spider, and you know, why not? Let's see how good he could be, and how much trouble he can give Bivol. But Bivol is world class.
Peter, can you just come and quickly join us while Craig has his photos done? Trainer Peter Sims. It's a pretty open-ended question, pretty easy one. How do you beat someone like Dmitry Bivol? What can you tell us?
Quite easily for Spider Richards. No, look, so you've got to give Dmitry Bivol a hell of respect, you know.
Craig's outside, I'll stand you next to each other if that's okay, yeah. Yeah,
you know, you've got to give Dmitry Bivol a lot of respect. He's a world champion, he's a WBA super world champion. But we believe that we've got the thing to beat him. You know, the tactics and the work we've done, and we've looked at him for quite a while. You know, ain't just a fighter that's come up out of blue and we thought, oh yeah, Dmitry Bivol. All we was offered. You know, we asked for this fight. I asked Eddie for this fight. You know, domestic scene, you know, he won a British title, and people say, oh, it's too much of a jump to go from the British title to someone like Dmitry Bivol. Well, Anthony Hard fought Kovalev. Callum Johnson fought Berbatov. Did anyone say it then? No, they didn't. Do I think he's got a better chance against Bivol than Callum Johnson had Berbatov or Yard had against Kovalev? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Right, can I just ask you, I mean, we spent some time around you in the bubble today, and obviously we've followed your career since the York Hall Small Hall days.
Yeah.
I mean, there just doesn't seem to be any nerves there. You feel like you belong at this level. I mean, people in your situation, it will be easy to sort of fold under the pressure, and it's a big deal, isn't it? But you seem to be taking it in your stride so far.
Yeah, I think the timing's right. You know, when you get to each level, you know when you're ready, you're not ready. In the back of your head, you think, oh, am I ready for this? But I know I'm more than comfortable. I've been around in big 50-50 fights, big fights long enough now to know what level I belong at. And I believe I've been on that domestic scene for ages, beating good names. And there's nothing left for me there. And it's time to push on and try and clear up the next level now.
There's no getting away from the fact that Peter alludes to that you are the underdog. Is that a tag that sits comfortably with you, that, you know, being the underdog, it's a pretty good tag to have sometimes. And I wonder if it's sort of good in this situation, not that you need any motivation, but the underdog, perhaps all the pressure is on Dmitry Bivol.
Well, it's never done me any harm in the past. Every time I was the underdog then, I've gone out and performed. So it's planned to do the same thing, same procedure, same ring, 2 guys, and I'm looking to get the decision and get the win again.
You know, it's bubble boxing, you can't shift any tickets. I know you would have shifted a shed load up here. Have you got a message for everyone at home? I mean, everyone's going to be watching. I know they would want to be here, friends, family, everybody else. But have you got a message for everyone?
tune in and buy the pay-per-view.
I didn't say that. I didn't tell him.
I'm joking. I just thank you everyone who's supporting me. I'm going to bring it home, bring it back to London, the belt, and I'm thankful for all the support and everyone who gets behind me.
Craig, best of luck. Peter, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Nice one. Okay, shall we throw back over to our MC, David Diamante?
And now it's time for the defending champion to do his media workout. This is 12 rounds of boxing scheduled for the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship of the World, brought to you courtesy of Matchroom Boxing in association with World of Boxing. And now stepping into the ring is the defending world champion. His professional record, 17 fights, 17 victories, 11 wins coming by way of knockout. Saturday night, he'll be making his 7th defense of his world title against St. Petersburg, Russia. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the reigning, defending, undefeated WBA light heavyweight champion of the world, Dmitry Bivol. Bivol.
I always tell the same joke that when we covered Dmitry Bivol's fight in Monte Carlo, he couldn't speak a word of English. The only phrase he knew was fish and chips. Now we having feature-length interviews with him, so absolute credit to him for...
he still hasn't had the fish and chips, though.
No, he hasn't. No, that's very true. He still hasn't had one yet.
He said maybe after the fight.
It's always good to know that I've made such an impression on Spider Richards that he called me Adam. So, small wins, you take them when you can get them. Maybe that's...
He did give us a nice promo.
Yeah.
Listen, Craig's a great guy, and they know, Peter and Craig are not silly. They know boxing very well. They know they're up against it, and they know that this guy is a very, very, very good fighter, and has been for many years. Look, they're right in sort of saying that, Batebiev and Callum Johnson and Yard and Kovalev, and both Yard and Johnson came off very well from their defeats, and it may be that will happen to Craig, but you never know. You never know what could happen, and as I say, with no crowd, and also the fact that Dmitry has been out for since October 2019.
It's a long time.
It is a long time, but he's so steeped in history, taking up boxing at the age of 6, 268 victories against only 15 defeats as an amateur, World Cadet Championship gold medals, bronze at the World Youths. It's fantastic stuff. Also boxed for the WSB, and I like this guy, and I think a lot of people think he's slightly plateaued as a world champion, but I don't think he's been given a fair ride and a fair chance yet. First time over here. Let's assess him up close. It's a fight, yes, he should win, but let's see how he goes about his work, because there's plenty of class there, Andy.
Yeah, I think perhaps unfairly he's been, like I say, people labelled that as a plateau. Lenin Castillo was probably the only one out in Chicago where he felt that he perhaps could have boxed better. Jean Pascal produced good wins after that fight. Chilemba couldn't make anybody frustrated on any given night. Sullivan Barrera, as I said, he got the stoppage eventually, and before that was the Trent Broadhurst devastating knockout in Monte Carlo. So yeah, there is that ring rust from October 19, but it's very difficult to pick holes in that CV of quality operators.
You're certainly right about Isaac Chilemba. I mean, remember the 2 fights that our own Tony Bellew had with him.
And I think then he went out and boxed Kovalev, and gave Kovalev a frustrated night's work.
He did. And look, it's a really interesting division, isn't it, at light heavyweight worldwide. And it's great that, one of our fighters, we've had Anthony Yard have that pitch at Kovalev. We've seen Callum Johnson. But, now it's a really nice chance for a Brit in Craig Richards to go in with someone like this and test his skills against the very best. That's what it's all about. It's all about challenging, and he's not going to know until he's done it. Richards has had a very long camp for it, and Bivol needs to get back on the saddle, back into performing again. And you look at him and you can just see the way he's so coordinated. His feet are fantastic. He's got good hand speed as well. He's a lovely boxer. He can fight, and I think people are underestimating him because of these last results and the fact that he hasn't been fighting recently. So I think people have forgotten quite how good Dmitry Bivol is and could be.
Can we talk about the future without being disrespectful to Craig Richards at all? I don't want to sort of start assuming anything, but World of Boxing and Dmitry Bivol have made no secret that they want unification bouts, that they want all of the marbles. He has also said that there's options down at 168. Look at, with one eye on Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo. There are options there. Which route do you think they will go? Is he good enough to become undisputed? I mean, it's a big question, isn't it? That's what they believe they can do.
It's a big question, and we want to see it happen. Obviously, let's get Saturday night out of the way first. Saturday is an important night, not only for Craig Richards but for Dmitry Bivol. Making a successful defence of his WBA title will be absolutely crucial for him. Becomes 18-0, and then maybe we'll have unifications after that. And we'll just have to wait and see how it all unfolds. Of course, we've got Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders fighting next week. And of course, he'll want the big money fight against Canelo. If Canelo comes through against Billy Joe, then that's what he'll want. If he drops down, I could see him drop down. But they've got options. But firstly, he's got to take care of business Saturday, because if he's got no World Championship belt, there's no unifications, Andy.
Yeah, Beterbiev against him would be mega, wouldn't it?
It's massive. It's a massive fight.
Absolutely massive. Two fellow Russians.
But at the moment, he'd start as an underdog because of what Beterbiev's done and of late. And I think probably Bivol and Bivol's team know that. But look at that amateur record, almost 300 fights. There's so much. There's so much education there. He's basically a born fighter, and this is why we hope that he'll become the serious professional legend that some of the others have, because it's all there for him.
Time is on his side as well, isn't it? He's 29, which isn't old. You'd say that he's in.
It's not old for a light heavyweight.
Yeah, he's in his prime years.
It's not old for a light heavyweight. It would be for a lighter fighter, obviously. It'll be getting on, but as a light heavyweight, no, he's got 5-6 good years ahead of him. So there's massive fights out there for Bivol. Matchroom know what they're looking for, and in him they found somebody who's a fantastic commodity. I love the fact that he's learned English. During the lockdown, I think he found it difficult because of where he was, sort of stuck away. But he's been training and he's been preparing for his comeback, his return. And interesting about, a lot of people talking about whether he'll be ring rusty, and I think Craig Richards made the point, or someone earlier did, about Floyd Mayweather coming back against. He'd been out for a while and he came back against Juan Marquez, and it looked like he'd never been away. So he was like, the first 30 seconds he was exactly the same. So it'd be interesting to see. Bivol looks really sharp on the pads. He's loose, he's languid, he reads a fight well. He moves beautifully. He's got great in and out movement. I don't think he's a massive puncher. I think
that's a good question. Do you think
that
one punch knockout flattered him?
I think a little bit. It got us all. Got us all so
amazing.
excited.
It was eerie. It was spooky.
It was, and I think we all thought, wow, is this the next coming? But because he has had to go the distance at times, and I think we'll see. Different performances from Dmitry as we go forward, but I think he is certainly one of the best in the world at any weight.
Okay, so I think he's going to pose for some photos, but we will have a chance to have one quick question with him. I'm just trying to catch the eye of the World of Boxing team for Vadim Kornilov. Vadim, can you just come over and join us? I'm just going to have one quick word with Dmitry here, just in case my question doesn't make sense. Dmitry, just how excited are you for Saturday, and what can we expect?
I'm ready to good fight, and I'm going to show all my good skills, and I think the people were ready to see a good fight.
Yeah. And what do you want to show us against Craig Richards? What sort of fight can we expect?
First of all, I wanna что ожидаю, да? Типа.
Что ты хочешь показать?
I wanna show first of all good fight, good boxing skills for English boxing fans, for every boxing fans, good boxing IQ and good defense and good attack, да? Mm-hmm. Everything.
The whole package. Thank you very much. Go well, Vadim. Thank you as well. Let's get back over to our MC, David Diamante.
From Manchester, England, the media workout continues in our next contest, 10 rounds in the middleweight division. now making his way to the ring for his media workout. Fighting out of Manchester, England, professional record 23 wins, 3 defeats, 16 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the reigning WBC International Silver Middleweight Champion. Please welcome Marcus Sweet M&M Morrison.
Okay, let's just join some of the comments that we've got here. Thank you for everyone that has been commenting. Shane Egan, Bivol is one of the best to do it. J.O. Buatsi Bivol was a fight to make in a few years. Yeah, that would be great. Mikhail Slater, Bivol takes that belt from Smith. Lots of comments about Jake Paul, predictably. Shane Egan, Bivol would slap up Buatsi right now, to be honest. Well, time will tell. You know, we want to see Buatsi back, I think May 15th, I should say. Keep your comments coming in, guys. We'll try and get through as many of them as we can. Let's get back over to the action in the ring. Marcus Morrison. This is a huge night and a huge opportunity for Marcus Morrison, Adam.
It's a massive night. And a little bit like Craig Richards, a really good guy, Marcus. He's 28 from Hattersley. He was an excellent footballer in his youth. And when he sort of burst onto the professional scene, I mean, I, for one, and Matt Macklin and many others on our team were really excited about him. You know, he just had the look of somebody who's shaped up well as a fighter. He can punch, and look, you know, he's had some setbacks along the way, but it's another great opportunity. Like Craig Richards is, it's a very tough ask for him, you know, to go in and you know, take on and try and find a way to beat Chris Eubank Jr, who we know is top drawer, and you know, he's obviously, you know, gone to Roy Jones Jr for a new sort of invigoration in training. You know, he's got a new promotional outfit, Chris, in the Sauerlands and Wasserman. So, you know, it's set up for Chris to sort of return to the ring, and Marcus knows that. You know, he's a proud guy, and he's a talented guy, and he can bang. And look, he's got a wise man in his corner in Joe Gallagher, and you know, they'll believe that they can cause the upset. You know, he'll have 2 underdogs. He'll have Tasha Jonas against Katie Taylor, and again, most people will fancy Katie to come through that based on past form, based on the fact she's the unbeaten, you know, and unified lightweight champion of the world. But you know, Tasha Jonas has got real momentum, and Marcus Morrison's got a bit of momentum. He had that great win out in Italy, and you know, he's been unbeaten in a number now. So look, why not? It's again, Andy, it's a big ask, and he knows it. But yeah, as Chris told us earlier, you know, he's got to be taken seriously. Chris doesn't want to look past this. You know, Marcus is a tough fighter, and you know, he's in Manchester, and I know he won't have the crowd with him, but he'll have the home feeling, and he'll believe that he can pull off a win that will catapult him into the big league in the middleweight division. And I think that's such an incentive for someone like Marcus, and you know, he'll give it everything. I know that.
He's been here before, though, in this situation. Yeah, it's about levels, but the Italian matchmakers looked at the 3 defeats on the slate, thought what a great opportunity for Emanuele Landamura, former European champion, to almost have a showcase. Why not? Marcus went over there. He hadn't read that script. He hadn't. He wasn't on the same page at all, and went over there and destroyed Landamura. So he knows what it's like to come from the away corner and cause an upset.
Yeah, I was commentating that night, and I remember thinking it was a big away win that for Marcus Morrison, with you know, what had happened before. He'd had those defeats, hadn't he, to Jason Welborn, which was a really tough one, and he took a lot of punishment that night, and then that sort of sneaky 4-round loss to Tyon Booth, and everyone can struggle with Tyon Booth, obviously, and then Alistair Warren. You know, he had 3 defeats in, I think, 5 fights, and it looked like he was you know, he wasn't going places. But you know, a win like that away from home can just reinvigorate you and give you something to really aim for. Because he must have thought at the beginning, everybody's talking about me, you know, he's good looking, he's got the great nickname, he's got Manchester behind him. There was, you know, so much there for Marcus. And of course, you know, you take 2 or 3 defeats and you probably start doubting yourself and whether you are really as good as you thought you were. But just takes a little change, a little bit of fortune and a good display, and you know, suddenly he's back there and he's got an opportunity Saturday night. You know, he's not expected to upset the apple cart. He's not expected to beat Chris Eubank Jr. But he's a live opponent, and that's what we want, and that's what he wants. And I'm telling you, looking at him here, he has trained very, very hard for this fight, and him and Joe are going to be they're going to be there to win this, and it'll be an interesting night for Chris Eubank Jr. This.
Muckleberry Studio says, what's with the whispering lads with some crying face emojis? I don't think we expected it to be as quiet as a library, and we would actually be as close as we are. So we're trying not to, put them off and say anything that might upset them. I'm not afraid to say that.
Yeah, so. We have at times as well commentated on when there's been no crowd in the arena, when crowds are allowed, and it's been, you know, when the fighters can hear you, it can be off-putting. So look, they're just going through the sort of final workouts.
There's the right hand that they think could be important, will be important in the fight. How does Marcus Morrison go about beating Chris Eubank Jr. in the simplest of terms? Hit him bang on the button and hope he can put a dent in him? Does he try and outbox him? What do you do? Do you try and go straight Chris Eubank Jr.?
No, I think Chris Eubank Jr. has got a good chin. I don't think it's a kamikaze sort of, you know, going out to try and blitz him is probably the right thing. I don't think Joe will be advising that. I think Joe will just feel that, you know, Chris can blow hot and cold. He can have moments where, you know, he just sort of sits back and you know, other times where he goes to war and maybe forgets some of the boxing skills. And I think that's what obviously Roy would have been working on with Chris, to try and make him a little bit more of a complete fighter, make him, you know, work every minute. And I think, you know, Marcus will just stay nice and tight. He'll try and get behind his good jab. He'll certainly try and make a little impression on him, maybe body shots like that. He threw a lovely left hook to the body there. Maybe that's part of the plan, to try and slow Chris down a bit, and, you know, maybe pinch some of the rounds. And you know, maybe when Eubank is forced to go to war, that's what they'll be hoping. Then, you know, Marcus can see if he can live with him. But it's you know, on paper it's a hard fight, Andy, and you know, Chris has fought at a much higher level. He's obviously got that good win over James DeGale. He was, you know, went the distance with George Groves. It was tough. We can just see Tasha Jonas coming in.
I think we're going to be blessed that Natasha, you can come stand off camera here. Why not talk to you while Marcus in the gym? Because you can give us a tiny little bit of an insight. You've spent your whole camp training alongside him. What will Joe and Marcus's mindset be going into this? They're coming from the away corner, and they are underdogs on paper, but
we all are.
Yeah. How do you think that? What's it been like training alongside for this?
I think that when everyone's got dates in the gym, it's the best time to be in the gym. Obviously Callum was a week before us, and there's us too, and you know, we're all pushing each other in these sessions. We know we've got monumental task against us, but you know, when we are all together and pushing each other on, that's the best time to be there. And you know, we're all focused and know what we want, and we'll do anything to have it.
It is an individual sport, but you are a team as a gym, and success breeds success.
Yeah, of course. Gallagher's has always been renowned for, you know, even when we haven't even got dates, we still come in the gym, we still take over, we engage with a lot with each other. So yeah, it's part of the camaraderie at the gym and Team Gallagher's.
I don't think I've ever seen Marcus Morrison not smiling. What's he like around the gym? Is he?
I don't think I've ever seen Natasha Jonas not
yeah,
smiling.
I know, yeah, that obviously is contagious as well, the smiling. What's he like around the gym? Is he practical joker? Is he deadly serious? I mean, never met a man as serious as Scott Quigg, but you had the right sort of contrast in that gym.
Yeah, no, I think that's why the gym gets on so well, because everyone's character's different. Jose's Burton's by far the joker, but you know, Marcus is quite chilled, quite relaxed, but everyone's quite jealous of Marcus, because even out of season he's still got the body like a Greek god.
Yeah, I'm glad he kept his top on, because you know, he has got an amazing thing, but that is testament to the hard work. So
yeah, he keeps himself in shape throughout, and it shows. And yeah.
We'll just let
he seems so relaxed, doesn't he? And I like the fact that he's cool and calm. That might stand him a good stead, Tasha.
Sorry to cut you off, Adam. Marcus, we're just talking to Tasha there, and she just said that you're the envy of the gym because you're always in great shape, even if you haven't been training. I don't believe it. I'm sure you're always training. Seem in a very good place this week so far, despite the sort of the magnitude of the fight. It's a big fight for you. Is this the biggest fight of your career, you would say?
Yeah, 100% by a country mile. It's the biggest fight of my career, and I knew that from the get-go, and that's one I feel I'm ready for.
Can you tell us anything that we might have seen that you showed us there? Obviously, the right hand is a good shot, and it thudded into the pads. What do you think will work for you on Saturday?
Listen, we won't say too much for Saturday night, but I just think it's going to be an explosive fight, and I think when the fight gets into close quarters, like I said, we're in for excitement.
It's difficult for us because we're all hoping for a fan-friendly fight. I'm sure you're hoping for an early night, it looks like the style should gel in this one. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I feel it's a great fight when you put two fighters like me and Chris together. It's it's nothing but fireworks.
Can you just sum it up for us? What can we expect on Saturday?
Fireworks. Literally fireworks. I think the fans in for a treat.
Nice one. Go well. Thank you.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, the media workout here in Manchester, England continues. And at this time, we bring up Marcus's opponent. He's making his way to the ring with a record of 29 victories, 2 defeats, and 22 big wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former IBO super middleweight champion of the world and the reigning WBA interim middleweight champion of the world, fighting out of Brighton, England. Here is Chris, the next gen Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr.
First thing to notice is the flip and everything. Yes, fraught with danger. Always petrifies me that something could go wrong there, but not on this occasion. And straight in front of the camera, you can see him there in the next gen hoodie. Hall of Famer Roy Jones Jr. It's been an absolute privilege to spend some time around him in the bubble.
His dad was the master of that, of course, although it did spark some raging debate with Nassim Mohammed about who taught who. But yeah, it's nice to see that Chris has employed some of the things of his dad. He speaks a bit like him at times. He's a bright guy. He's different, and he's a very, very good fighter. Again, it's like we were talking with Campbell and Ricky, and we talk with Connor and Nigel all the time. Very difficult to compare, but Chris's career has been very good in its entirety, and he's done well. I just think he's slightly underachieved, and I think maybe this move to Roy Jones Jr. has happened at the right time. We're going to talk more about Joseph Parker later, hooking up with Andy Lee, and sometimes you just need a fresh change. And I think what I like about Chris is that, he just takes all the advice on board. He's been out there. He hasn't sort of come and gone, and, he's been based out in America with Roy, and I like that. And Roy is obviously he's a genius in the ring, and if he can help just add a little bit of sparkle to Chris's style. We know Chris is a fighter. If you could just bring out a little bit more of the patience and the boxing and the crisp timing, and of course the rattle-tattle of the combinations, the quick burst that Roy did himself. And it's very difficult because
even tapping into the mind, the boxing brain of Roy Jones Jr. just must be a privilege in itself. If you're taking 1% of what Roy Jones Jr. is telling you, that's an advantage that everybody else hasn't got. I'm in awe of him, I have to say. Sitting down talking to him yesterday and being around the bubble, you turn around, it's Roy Jones Jr. It is real fanboy stuff, I'm not going to lie.
Andy, I was lucky enough to be around when Roy was at his peak, and I remember Clinton Woods, who was a wonderful fighter for us, British, Commonwealth, European, world champion, forgotten man really in Sheffield, but he was a great fighter, and and I remember him challenging Roy, and it was just incredible, Roy Jones Jr. that night. And I think at his peak he arguably was one of the greatest of all time, and I think if he'd retired after he went up to heavyweight, miraculously winning a world heavyweight title from middleweight, and that's incredible. And beating John Ruiz like that, if he retired after that, I think you'd be talking about him as top 3-4 ever. Of course, it didn't happen. Antonio Tarver beat him and stunned the world with that, and he probably went on too long, Roy, but when he was at his peak, he was untouchable. He was an absolute pleasure to watch, to witness, to be around. And, you know, the knowledge he's got is second to none. So passing that on to Chris is only going to be a real benefit. And what I love about Chris is that he's a sponge, that he'll take it in, that he'll, you know, he's a dedicated. That's what his dad was like. His dad was so dedicated. Yes, he was eccentric.
It would have been easy for him to come home when the pandemic really started to strike at that, but he decided to stay in America, stay for a year and a half in camp almost. That takes a huge amount of dedication to want to stay true to it.
You know, and there was a lot of criticism early doors of father and son spending, you know, too much time together, and, you know, what people liked about Nigel and Connor was that Nigel was at a distance out in Australia. But you can see now that Chris has, in a way, you know, he's become his own man, and he's decided to go and do that, and, you know, that's great. And his dad will be there to support him always, and he'll be there to entertain us, of course. He was an absolute legend. But, you know, Chris, again, he's got his own dreams, and he's got big fights on the horizon. You know, if he gets past Marcus Morrison, as most expect he'll do, and if he you know, shines on Saturday night, he's got to be knocking at the door for Gennady Golovkin back end of the year, or the winner of Canelo, or Billy Joe, or even the loser. You know, there's some huge fights out there for Chris Eubank Jr. He's got the name, he's got a standing in the sport, and people notice. There we go, he's right.
Chris just saying that. Chris just saying. The boxing in the library comment, that is the reason we are whispering over here, because it is absolutely, you can hear a pin drop. I can hear conversations outside. There is absolutely no small talk or atmosphere, or even no. I don't think anybody else is even talking to each other. It is a library atmosphere, and maybe that's because we're all in awe of Chris Eubank. What are we going to see on the pads here? Is he going to? I haven't seen too much of these two on the pads.
Not that sure in awe of Chris Eubank. I think it might be in awe of Roy Jones. But.
No. How dare you? Some of the videos that they've released have seen a lot of the head movement. One was very good, of Roy dipping under the rope and showing Chris, and he picked up straight away. And I think they released the round of sparring where he boxed just with the jab. Haven't seen too much of the two of them on the pads, so this will be interesting to watch. John Cahill, is Eubank Senior going to be making an appearance at the presser tomorrow? I think Chris Senior will be here on fight night. I don't think he's going to be here at the presser. Seeing if I can catch anyone's eye. No, so on fight night. Rayology, come on Roy, can't be touched. Aaron Hubert Ali, come on Chris. Lemus White, one day Eubank Jr versus Conor Benn, Eubank Jr against Benn. I mean, there's a lot of those sort of comments. The weight differential is too big at the moment, but we can all dare to dream. Luke Robson, Dan Bilzerian partying. Yeah, I think we spoke about it earlier with an interview that you'll see over the next few days about the April Fool's joke of Chris Jr. giving up professional boxing to become a professional poker player. That didn't go down too well because nobody got the joke on April Fool's. He had hundreds of messages saying, don't do it, don't give up, you're too young, there's so much more to give, and he felt like he had to delete the post and tell everybody that it was just an April Fool's. So make no mistake, you wouldn't want to play poker with him, but he's very much a professional boxer. Kashmir Felton, Chris wins this by KO inside 4. I'm actually excited to see how much Eubank has improved under Roy Jones Jr. if he has. Yeah, well, the proof will be in the pudding on Saturday. They're saying all the right things, and I think we're all interested to see how he looks. I think we'll be stupid if we think once the first bell rings we're going to be watching Roy Jones Jr. 2.0. But I think the mentality change is one of the big things. They're going to stay on. Winner stays on. They're going to do a little bit more. They're not ready yet. Yeah, I think David Diamante just learnt there. If Roy Jones tells you he's going to do more, they're going to do more. Get out, David. What are you doing?
This may be a show to you guys, but this is what I do. Yeah. I'm going to be here for a few rounds at least.
Just getting warmed up.
You know, it's good to see that, you know, that this is his life. It's, you know, he obviously had a good upbringing with his dad and in Hove, and I'm sure his dad didn't want him to end up in the ring like this. But you know what? It's almost like with that tag, that name above you, you've got to go that extra mile, and you've got to really want it. And it's really interesting seeing Conor Benn and seeing Chris and seeing now young Campbell Hatton, how much they want it, how much they want to succeed. And it's really good. It's really refreshing to see that, you know, you hear that Conor Benn is the first out, you know, in the gym, the first on the roads. You know, he wants to break records, and you can see with Chris's dedication, you know, that's the one thing he's had in abundance, and he's been
I want
taught
to be
that by
better. I
Absolutely.
want to be better. I want to push myself that extra mile because of what my dad laid down. I think that is apparent.
And there was a moment where he could have fought Gennady Golovkin a few years ago, the fight that Kell Brook took, and it was very nearly made. And I think at that time it probably would have been way too soon for Chris. And I think, you know, if they meet at the back end of the year, you know, if Chris can shine on Saturday night, I would love to see that fight against Golovkin, because, you know, Golovkin's a great fighter, but he may not quite be the force that he was. And, you know, Chris just seems to have more impetus now, and there's obviously a real love affair with boxing again, and that's great to see. And if he's found that in Roy Jones Jr., and they've had a long time together, and now they've got a chance to show what they've worked on.
Do you think this is a fair enough question that whilst he's had big nights and he's had big wins, he still craves the breakout performance?
Yes, I agree. I think you're absolutely right. I think, you know, he has. You know, he's probably best win, I don't know, probably Korobov or maybe James DeGale, but of course James was you know, on the way out at that point, and it was an excellent win on paper. But actually, I thought he might have the better of George Groves in Manchester. I was at that fight in the Super Series. Arthur Abraham, good win. You know, you're looking back through it.
Was an impressive win away from home in the Lions Den.
It was. There's been some good wins, you're right. You know, very good wins. Chudinov, you know, the loss to Billy Joe Saunders where he didn't do enough. You know, Spike O'Sullivan, of course, in 7 rounds. He was very good that night, and I think Spike had really wound him up, and he was very good. And that whole show with his dad was a terrific one. But I think you're right. I think he's the breakout fight. Maybe it will be somebody like Golovkin, or maybe it will be a Saunders rematch, or, you know, maybe he'll even get a shot at Canelo. But I think he wants to stay at middleweight. I think that's the aim, and I think the name on his lips will be Gennady Golovkin, and I would love to see that at the back end of the year. But look, he will not be looking past Marcus Morrison, and I think that's what this is all about. You know, he wants to show how dedicated he is, how driven he is, and how much he still wants boxing. And at 31, he's got time. And he's got that star quality, hasn't he? He's got that box office appeal. He talks well. He looks good. He's the son of a legend, and he's always in good fights. So, you know, there's still a bit of a mystique around Chris Eubank Jr. And you know, he's top quality. You ask George Groves that. You ask, you know, Billy Joe Saunders. You know, they know how good he is, and he's always going to be in those big fights, and there'll always be those opportunities because he's a Eubank.
The unenviable job that Jamie Ward has got, saying there's more people to come, you need to stop. Good, well done, good luck.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get our hands together out there. We got Junior, Chris Eubank Jr. next man.
I have to say, you talk about the magnetism. He comes in, it's been quiet all day. He machine guns the pads, gets people clapping. There is an attraction to him that he brings star quality.
Magnetism is the word, you know, that he has star quality, and obviously he's alongside a guy who gave us so many memories in the boxing ring. But look, even the way he stands, he does like poker, despite the April Fool joke, and he's got a poker face, isn't it? You never quite know what he's thinking, Chris, and that must be difficult for any fighter that goes in against him. I'm sure he will not be looking past Marcus Morrison, even though he wants that fight with Golovkin.
Chris, I'll give you a chance to get your gloves off. Yeah, don't worry about it. Chris, I was going to say you can get a chance to take your gloves off if you want. They're going to announce the next fight straight away in the background, but I'm happy to stand and talk to you. That's created a bit of an atmosphere there. This is my show. I'm going to stay on. I'm going to do an extra round of boxing. I'm only just getting warm. I don't know. I feel like you're coming across like you're in a very good place.
I'm comfortable, man. I'm happy. I'm on weight, and I got Roy Jones Jr. here with me. You know, there's not much more a fighter needs leading up to a fight. You know, the training camp's been long and hard, and I'm 100% ready to go out there and steal that show.
Yeah, what sort of performance do you want to produce on Saturday night? What sort of insight can you give us? What sort of fight are you expecting?
I'm expecting a showstopper. I'm going to go out there and try and steal the show. You know, everybody knows I go out there and I put it on them. You know, I don't think it's going to go 10 rounds. At least that's what I'm going out there to do. I'm going to go out there and try and stop him. And I don't think he's going to have the abilities to keep me off of him.
And look, Roy was making no secret about it earlier in the week. Like, we don't want to look too far ahead, but it is our job to sort of do that and throw names at you. Triple G is the name that is on everybody's lips. It's the name that's been on your lips as well. There's a win here, a statement win against Marcus Morrison, put you in pole position for that at the back end of the year.
Well, this is a fight which gets me ready for the top level in the summer. So ideally I want to fight at least 3 times this year, this one included. So a big fight in the summer and then Triple G at the end of the year. That was the goal. You know, that is a fight I've been looking to try and get for years now, and now I'm back down at middleweight. It has to happen. It has to happen within the next 12 months.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to ask you just to step to one side. I'm just going to have a quick word with Roy before we lose you all. Roy, what do you want Chris to show us on Saturday night? What have you been working on behind closed doors that you want him to produce?
All I want Chris to do Saturday night is use his mental. As long as his mental is involved with it, he still can be Chris Eubank. Chris Eubank Jr. was a great fighter when I got him. So it's like, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here, I'm just trying to add to the wheel.
Yeah, and obviously, we spoke to you earlier in the week, but some people won't have seen that interview yet. Let's get it right. We're not expecting to see Roy Jones Jr. 2.0 when Chris steps between the ropes just because you've been training him. It's about taking what he's good at and improving.
We want to see Chris Eubank Jr. 2.0, not Roy Jones Jr. 2.0.
Can't be touched. Look, I'll let you go. Are you going to? Have you spoke to Joseph Parker? Have they said anything to you?
Yeah,
I mean, he still walks out to your rap tune.
So we can talk, we can work something out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm acting as Roy Jones Jr.'s agent this week, so 10%, 5%, 1%, whatever it may be. Okay, let's get straight back over to the ring. Tasha Jonas is just getting her gloves on with trainer Joe Gallo. We had a chance to speak to Tasha already earlier today and already on the stream. If you missed that, you can go back and hear it. Full of praise for the work that everyone's doing in the gym. Callum Johnson getting a good win on Saturday night in an absolute firefight. She's obviously been training alongside Marcus Morrison for this one, pushing each other in the gym. What can we expect from Tasha on Saturday? What does she need to do to beat Katie Taylor?
We've also had the fortune of spending some time with Tasha recently when she came and was our guest on the Conor Benn night, and I just think she's in a great place, Andy. You know, she had that difficult defeat against Viviane Obernauf, and you know, for a while it looked like the Katie Taylor rematch, the one that everybody expected from the Olympics, would possibly not happen. But you know, there's been a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that after that phenomenal performance that Tasha gave us at Fight Camp against Terry Harper in one of the great fights of, if not the great fight of last year, I just think that she's there and she deserves this opportunity. You know, she could have had the rematch with Terry. Some people felt that it was a draw. I personally felt that Tasha nicked it and deserved it. But, you know, it's one of those that it was such a great fight. That's all that really matters. You know, Terry, we know, is back in a couple of weeks. And, you know, she's a fantastic story. It was a terrific fight. We'd see that again. But you know what? It's even better, this one, because we got a chance of seeing whether Tasha Jonas can pick up all the marbles and step up to lightweight. It's a huge challenge for her. She knows how good Katie Taylor is. She's met her a couple of times in the amateurs. They've got masses of respect for each other. And look, they're convinced that they can find, you know, holes in Katie, and that the timing is right for Natasha. And look, she's got momentum. She's a happy fighter. She's got power. She's a southpaw. She's going to be dangerous every minute she's in there with Katie, and Katie knows that.
Yeah, I mean, 17 have tried, 17 have failed so far against Katie Taylor as a pro. First things first, there's a little bit of pop in these shots with Joe Gallagher. He mentioned it earlier. We're calling Marvin Hagler at the gym at the moment. May God rest his soul. What he meant was, we've been working on power. We've been working on sitting down on shots.
I think the two biggest punchers that we've been lucky enough to have in the last few years in women's boxing over here are Tasha Jonas and Savannah Marshall, and I think they both can really crack. Look, Natasha she picks her shots well. And she's very, very conditioned now, and I think that's been something that possibly has been missing. She's beating targets recently, and I think because she had that performance against Terry Harper, she realises she belongs not only as a world-class amateur but as a world-class professional. So I think even though she was gutted she didn't get the decision that night and didn't become a world champion, she knows what she's about. She's shown that, she's proven it, but now she's got to do it all over again at a slightly higher level against arguably one of the greatest fighters that's ever come out of certainly Ireland, if not the world. I mean, Katie Taylor's a phenomenon. She was an unbelievable amateur, unbeaten as a professional. She's the undisputed lightweight champion. She's, as you said, she's taken 17 wins. However, some would say she was lucky to get the decision in America against Delphine Persoon, and also she had a tough one with Persoon at Fight Camp. She did look very, very good last time out against Gutierrez, though.
Let's have a look at the comments. Green Machine, Tasha beat Harper easy. Well, it was a close fight on the cards. I think we all agree it could have gone either way. Ray Ology again, Tash makes a war of it. Taylor could lose the game plan. Brackets again. Scott Ryan, come on Jonas. Graham Taylor disagrees. She never won easy at all. Okay, I'll leave you lads to it. I don't want to get involved. Bob says Katie all the way, 100. Obviously, Chris Eubank Jr. has set the comments on fire with the Triple G stuff. I'll let you guys argue out amongst yourselves. Hendy McCollin, Taylor's IQ matches her work rate, class act. Fight was a clear win for Persoon. Rematch was close. Taylor edged it or a draw.
She's a great story, isn't she, as well, Tasha Jonas. We talk a lot about Katie and how Katie's been a trailblazer, a pioneer, an icon in many ways, but Natasha is a mum, and she's got a fantastic family and support in Liverpool, and she's done a huge amount for the local community, and she's she deserves her position here, and it's great to see her in these sort of fights together mentally and physically, and look, she looks better than ever. Win or lose Saturday night, this is a win for Natasha Jonas.
Yeah, one of the things that we keep harping back on to is the amateur fight that they had. You were there, and so much gets spoken about the atmosphere, and actually not many people talk about the fight, but the reason the atmosphere was so good, do you know, it's because the fight was so good.
Johnny and I could hardly believe it when we were sat up there in the gods. We were with all the Irish, and it was mayhem, and actually I don't really remember much about the fight. I remember thinking that Katie's won this, and it was always going to be tough for Tasha, I think, and it was a cauldron, it really was. But I actually think they've changed a lot as professional fighters. They've learned. They're
completely different, aren't they?
They are very different, and I think particularly Tasha Jonas, the professional game probably suits her better because she's got the power and she's got the southpaw stance which she can use to her advantage, and shocked Terry Harper at times. And it'll be very, very interesting to see how this unfolds. Obviously, Katie has got the speed and the class, and she's so knowledgeable. So it's a tough ask for Tasha, but tell you what, there are plenty of people that think she can pull it off. It's great to see Scott Quigg and Tom Stalker and Marcus Morrison and all the guys. It is a camaraderie. It is always been like that at Gallagher's gym. He's got 2 underdogs on Saturday night. You can't write them off, though.
So just to make this clear straight away, don't think that we're ignoring Tasha Jonas, but she is going to join our colleague straight away live on Sky Sports News. So if you want to hear from Tasha, she is going to be live on Sky Sports News.
We did hear from her a few minutes ago.
Yeah. I just want to make that clear that we're not snubbing her.
No, I think.
Tasha, because we spoke to you, you're going to join our colleagues live on Sky Sports News. So any Tasha Jonas fans that were hoping for an interview on this platform, switch your TVs on over to Sky Sports News and you can watch her imminently. I can see her just getting in position there with our reporter, Fraser Dainton. Yes, I was going to go that way, Adam. Joe Gallagher has got his bag on his shoulder.
We're going to have Scott Quigg, we're going to have Joe Gallagher. There's a plethora of names here.
I learnt my lesson a long time ago that if Scott Quigg wants to talk to us, he will talk to us. If he doesn't, he won't. Learnt that lesson the hard way, don't worry. Joe, I'm going to just throw a question to you on your way past. Obviously, it's a big night for the whole gym. Marcus Morrison and Tasha Jonas, one question on each. Marcus Morrison, we know that he's up against it, but from what we could see in the ring there, he's hitting the pads hard and he comes here full of confidence that he can cause an upset.
Yeah, when he carries the power that he carries. Listen, we know where Chris Eubank's operated out. We know he's beat De Gale, he's been in the World Boxing Super Series, George Groves. And last time I think he fought unorthodox was George Groves at the Manchester Arena. Not the best hunting ground for him. So, listen, Marcus Morrison, huge opportunity. And fortune favours the brave, and that's what hopefully he'll do Saturday night.
Tasha Jonas is just beaming and portraying huge confidence the whole time. The mindset that you've drilled into her, you said it earlier, I hope you don't mind me keep using this, but that Marvin Hagler mentality and also the Marvin Hagler pressure fighter, you've tried to install that into her. What can we expect from her on Saturday night? What has she been doing in the gym that you need her to produce on Saturday night if she is to beat Katie Taylor?
Well, to bring the energy, you could see and sense there Natasha. Natasha's walking around very quietly confident, carrying that strong belief that she can do it. She's in there, she's not interested in what anyone else says, she's not interested about boxing news, says, fans, casuals, anyone online. She knows what she has to do. The mindset's there, everything's just going overhead. And like where she fought before, Terry Harper, it don't matter what anyone said, we knew what we're doing, and it's the same much for this. Obviously, Katie Taylor is a different thing, but that, not knowing her, they fought twice together before, so that aura's gone, and as Natasha says, it's all about timing. I think this is about timing, and Natasha has got to bring that single-minded determination and destruct and destroy, as Marvin would say. God bless him.
Yeah, very well said. I'll let you get on.
Cheers,
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to introduce the A side of our chief support of the evening. She really needs no introduction the world over. Her professional record, a perfect one. 17 fights, 17 victories, 6 of them coming by way of knockout. Here is the 2012 Olympic gold medalist, the two-division world champion, fighting out of Bray, County Wicklow, Ireland. Here is the reigning, defending, undefeated and undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Katie Taylor.
David Diamante coming off his full run there. That was he went from 6 to 8 on the scale, and deservedly so for Katie Taylor, who is in the ring now. Ross NMA is just on the corner of the ring there. I don't think Katie's long in the tooth now. She's done a number of these. I don't think she's going to show us too much. I don't want to downplay it already for those of you who are tuned in. But I think from the Katie Taylor experience that we've already had, I don't think we're going to get. We're going to get a little bit. Let's just say that. I don't want people turning off in their droves. But she's experienced. She knows what she's doing. She's not going to give us too much in this media workout. Just a little bit of shadow boxing.
It's been her life, Andy. Since she was 11 years old, and I think, she knows exactly how to prepare for any sort of battle. I mean, what an experience, an amateur she was, winning multiple world championships, European titles, that Olympic gold in London 2012, because of course she beat Tasha Jonas in the quarters, went on to win it. She carried the flag in for Ireland. She is an Irish superstar, and she's carried that into the professional ranks. it was fantastic when Eddie Hearn called us up and said we've signed Katie Taylor, and we've been with her every step of the way. She's a fantastic ambassador for the sport. She's been an inspiration to so many women coming into boxing, so many young kids. Even just the other night when Shannon Courtney won a world title, she said it was just Katie Taylor got her into it. Katie Taylor has just set the way, and she's been incredible. And what I love about Katie is that she's just so down to earth. She doesn't like all the attention. She doesn't like the fuss. She doesn't like being interviewed. She is who she is. She's got a great family around her, a wonderful team, and she's produced it in the ring over and over and over again. And she's the undisputed lightweight champion. And I think the one thing we'll say about Katie is I don't think there's any fighter, male or female, in the world who doesn't hold her in such high esteem. Even Tasha Jonas, who's fighting her on Saturday night, even Delphine Persoon, who maybe should have got that decision in the Garden, but I don't think there's anyone. You hear Anthony Joshua talk about her, you hear Canelo, you hear everybody,
Hollywood A-listers, politicians,
but I mean
every single person,
everybody. But within the sport, I don't think there's a more loved person than Katie Taylor, because of what she's done and what she's given to the sport, and how she's dedicated herself over so many years to trying to become the best female fighter that's ever lived. Clarissa Shields would say in America there's one there that's going great guns, and we look forward to that big clash with our own Savannah Marshall at some point. But Katie's got big fights ahead with the likes of Amanda Serrano and others, but this is a really interesting one for her, against her old amateur foe Natasha Jonas. But you won't hear any sort of bad blood between them. They hold each other in huge respect, and it's great to see. And what Katie Taylor has done for boxing has been phenomenal.
Okay, let's have a look at the comments. Weigh anything. All of the training sessions are done behind closed doors and in private, which is absolutely their prerogative, but we don't get too much of a window inside, and I think this is just going through the motions, just a little shakeout. Luke, Katie Taylor KO inside 6, 2 p.m. Butterfly. Could you ask Katie Taylor whether she would like to see 3-minute rounds in women's boxing, and if she's happy with 2 currently? Well, I asked her yesterday in a feature-length interview, which hopefully will be available in the coming days on YouTube. So I'm going to direct you back to our own website. The answer is, I want you to tune in and watch it, but I think she's very much open to 3 minutes or 2 rounds. Andrew O'Brien, not on her level. Who do you mean, Andrew? Do you mean Katie or Jonas? Because Katie's in the ring, I think you mean Katie. Perhaps that you're saying that Jonas is not on her level. John the boy, Taylor, win on points, boxing Tasha. Could the men's game learn from the women, go to 2-minute rounds? That would be chaos.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more round of sound out here.
Joseph Connors, Jonas, no power, won't be a hard fight. I don't know, I think there were some heavy hands in that Terry Harper fight, certainly, and moving up in weight, she might carry some power up as well. Maka 302, Taylor KO in raw rounds 4-6. There's a few people saying that.
Yeah, interesting that people are saying that she stops Natasha Jonas because Katie very nearly got rid of Gutierrez in that first round, but she often has to settle for longer fights. But of course, Tasha has been stopped before, and I think that's what people are looking at. I see it as a really interesting fight, and obviously Katie starts as favourite, and rightfully so. And Tasha's got to come up in weight and really in class. But they've shared a ring a couple of times before. She won't be overawed, and Katie knows how good Natasha Jonas is.
Katie, I'm not going to keep you for too long because in the nicest possible way, I know that you don't like doing too many of these. Didn't give too much away there. What can we expect from you on Saturday night? I always wonder if it's better if you know the opponent so well, you know them inside out, like Tasha Jonas, you shared the ring with her twice, albeit as amateurs, or if it's better off not knowing what it leads to, a good fight or a bad fight. What do you think?
I think it's going to, both of our styles match up to a fantastic fight on Saturday night, and I said before that I don't think it really matters what happened 9 years ago. We're both completely different fighters now. I think we're both completely different in every single way, really. We obviously fought each other years ago when we were both at the top of our amateur games. But here we are 9 years later, we're both at the top of our pro games, and we are completely different fighters, so it's going to be a completely different fight I think on Saturday, but it's going to be such an exciting fight, I feel.
I know you and trainer Ross Enamate, you very much focus on what you're doing. It doesn't really matter what's coming from the opposite corner, but at the same time Joe Gallagher said, look, we are going for a physical approach. We are looking to stand and punch with Katie Taylor. Is that what you expect? Is this a double bluff? Is this a high stakes game of poker? What's going to happen?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what their game plan is, but I definitely feel like I'll be prepared for whatever comes my way on Saturday night, whether she stands and punches with me or whether she plans on boxing on the outside. I feel like I'm well prepared in each way, really. But both styles definitely suit me. I feel like I can definitely become a great inside fighter over the last few years, and I'm also a great boxer, I think, when I have to as well. So and so is Tasha. So that's why it's going to be such a fantastic fight.
Do you believe that it's that you do bring the best out of each other? I mean, history tells us that you did as amateurs. Should it be the same as the pros?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely, the both times we fought as amateurs, or I think it was both times. And some people say it was 3 times. I only remember 2 fights, but yeah, I think both times we fought each other as amateurs, we definitely did bring the best out of one another. It was edge of the seat type of fights, so I don't see how Saturday night is going to be any different, really.
Thank you for joining us, and go well. We'll catch you up later in the week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here in Manchester, England, for the media workout for Saturday night's blockbuster night of boxing action taking place at the MEN Arena. And it's all going to be televised live around the world on Sky Sports Box Office and DAZN. It's brought to you by Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing, and the main event is in association with Haymaker Boxing and Duco Events. And the main event of the evening, 12 rounds of boxing scheduled for the vacant WBO Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. And now making his way to the ring for the workout, please welcome 28-2, 21 big wins, coming by way of knockout, fighting out of Auckland, New Zealand. Here is the former WBO Heavyweight Champion of the World, Joseph Lupe Soliai La'aule Ale Maleatoa Parker.
That's some introduction, Andy.
Yeah. And here is Joe
And his
with
trainer, former world champion Andy Lee, ladies and gentlemen.
David Diamante took the words out of my mouth. You can see the training team there, Joe Parker and his new trainer, Andy Lee. This is a great story. After the junior FAR win, text messages were exchanged with Tyson Fury. He said, who do you think? Who would you recommend? He said, I fancy 3 trainers as the best in the world. Andy Lee's one of them. Do you want me to put in contact? Yeah, a Zoom call later, a phone call later, another Zoom call later. I think it was 5 days from start to finish. He was on a plane on his way to Dublin.
Well, listen, Joe is one of the nicest guys in boxing, and he makes friends very easily, and one of those is Tyson Fury, good mate to have. And obviously Tyson has huge connections with Andy, Sugar Hill and the Kronk and all of that, and we saw what happened with that team and what they said they'd do against Deontay Wilder. And I think Andy Lee is one of the wisest guys in boxing. I think he's a great analyst. I think he's a terrific young trainer, and I think he was a very good fighter who was extremely dedicated and lucky enough to be around some exceptional trainers, obviously Emmanuel Stewart, but also people like Adam Booth. And I think that he'll have soaked it all in, and I think he's got a great deal of knowledge. Whenever I speak to him, I love listening to Andy. I think he's full of real experience, and he's clever. And I think, look, Kevin Barry had a terrific relationship with Joe Parker. They achieved huge amounts. They won the world title, and he had that victory over Andy Ruiz, and he's obviously fought Anthony Joshua and Dillian White here. And look, I think that sometimes a fighter just needs something of a change. He had the fight with Farr, which he didn't look great in, and he decided that, look, he wants to come to the other side of the world and try something different. He's left his family behind. He's a family man, Joe, and every time I talk to Andy about their last few weeks, he's just doing everything I tell him, and it seems like it's a really great fledgling relationship. They've only had 7-8 weeks together, so it's going to take time, and we'll probably only see some of that on Saturday night. But I think it's a really interesting move, and I think it could be a very fruitful one.
Yeah, there's more from Andy Lee on this week's Ringside Toe to Toe podcast, available on all good podcast platforms. So wherever you go to consume your podcast, go there and download this week's Toe to Toe. Andy Lee just talking about, risks on both sides, because Joe Parker came all the way from New Zealand. It had to work. I mean, if he got there and they didn't get on, or if they got there and they didn't see eye to eye, you'd back yourself into a corner. But as it is, he said, look, I knew what I was getting into. I spoke to people that know him, spoke to people that work with him. Tyson Fury is obviously one of those more prominent figures. Invited him into his family house. We learnt that Joseph learnt to play the piano in just 7 days. Bohemian Rhapsody, learnt it off YouTube. I can barely tie my shoelaces. Where am I going wrong? What is
he kept us entertained all the way through lockdown, didn't he? And with his music videos and his creativity, I think
he saved lockdown for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Kerry Russell TV was
fantastic, wasn't it? The Rocky Horror Show and all that. It was great, and he's a real character as well. And he's the one person, Andy, that told me in New York that Andy Ruiz had a huge chance of upsetting Anthony Joshua as. We see these two in the ring now. They have a bit of fun
I think Andy
together.
Lee looks like he could still box.
Listen, you won't doubt that.
No, I don't.
Tyson Fury is matchmaker with these two. It's a great story, and it's a fantastic one. And Tyson looks in terrific shape himself as we wait for news of Anthony Joshua. But
what about the shape of Joseph Parker? So this is the first time that we've seen him without the tracksuit top on. He's a big guy anyway. Perhaps looks a tad leaner. I mean, we always get weight obsessed around the heavyweights on Fight Week. We always get weight obsessed, don't we? And we'll look at the heaviest and the lightest that they've been and how they've been in the last 5 fights. He looks like he's been working hard.
Yes, I think he has been working hard. As I said, Andy said he's done everything that's been asked of him. He knows this is a must-win fight for him. If he slips up against Dereck Chisora, then you've got to wonder whether he'll ever get that other world title opportunity. Obviously, heavyweights move, and there's so many big fights out there. We're seeing Andy Ruiz come back this weekend against Chris Arreola. Deontay Wilder. There's so much out there for these guys, and you've got Joe Joyce, Alexander Usyk, Daniel Dubois, and they'll come back. There's always going to be fights for heavyweights, but I think if he loses to Chisora on Saturday night, that's a massive setback for Joe Parker. I think he needs to win. I think he needs to really look good in it, and I think he looks good right now. I think he's physically excellent, and I think mentally he's in a good place. He's as I said, he's always a friendly guy, but I think he seems very, very happy and relaxed this week, and he obviously is really enjoying this relationship with Andy Lee, staying at his house, learning the piano. He can sing. He's got many talents, Joe. We want to see him, though, give a really, really good all-round performance, because we've seen flashes, haven't we? When he won the world title, he didn't perform against Anthony Joshua. He was good against Dillian, but he just, there's times where he switched off, and look, he needs to switch on, and this is the chance.
Okay, Adam, I'll put a couple of comments to you. Know the score. I like Chisora, but he is European level at best. You tell him, not me. Luke, Chisora looks shot now. Wobbled a couple of times versus Usyk, who isn't the biggest puncher. Parker KO round 9. S. Mohammed follows it up. Usyk is tough. Yeah, he is. Boxing Talk TV. In my opinion, Dell will run right through Parker. Lemus White. Parker has a plan A and B. Chisora only has a plan A. Eileen Hughes. Parker in 5. Semal Naji, I hope I said that right. Chisora will go for broke, all in 3 rounds, then twist the knee. Parker wins late, round 9 or 10.
Saturday night here in Manchester, England.
Memento, rooting for Delby in this fight. Will Parker go toe-to-toe, though? Parker would have beaten Dillian White had he had 30 more seconds. That's from Jamie. Forget how good a fight that was, don't you, actually?
Great night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a wild night at the O2, wasn't it?
Wild night. Derek played his part that night too.
Joe with the dressing gown on. I didn't get one of those in my... let me just have a look. Yeah, okay, I didn't get one of those in my wardrobe. I'm going to ring down to the front office. Is this what you're walking out to on the night?
I got it.
It's gone down the wrong aisle. What did you feed him there?
I have a uniform that was made for fight. This is just to keep warm. It can get cold around here, so and I just finished swinging.
Listen, that's the first time we've seen you on Fight Week without the tracksuit top on. Testament to the hard work you've been doing behind closed doors. You look clean. What sort of weight do you think you'll come in on Friday?
Probably around 240 or 245, around that weight. I haven't really been trying to make a weight, just training hard, eating good, resting well, and I feel like the weight's just been sort of maintaining in the same sort of area.
What sort of fight are you expecting from Dereck Chisora? I mean, we've been hammering this now all week. What's he going to do? What are you going to do? Can you give us a little bit more, put a bit of meat on the bones? When I put it to him earlier, he thinks you're going to get on your bike and box on the back foot. Can you tell us any more?
I can fight on the back foot. I can take it to him. It just depends what I'm going to see on the night. But hopefully he doesn't make a mistake, because if he does, I'll catch him coming in.
Yeah, what do you
or
think
I'll catch him going back.
What do you think he's going to do?
Apply pressure. I think there's one way that he fights, is that's to apply pressure and come forward and just throw the punches that he has, the bombs that he throws. So I think that's just the style that he has, and it hasn't really changed for a while.
Do you think that if he does do that and he's on the way in and you catch him, you can knock him out?
I think any heavyweight can knock out any heavyweight. It's just a matter of throwing the punches at the right time with proper technique, and if it lands cleanly, it'll knock someone out.
You're very respectful. I'm not trying to create bad blood that doesn't exist. But do you want to make a statement in this fight? Do you want to win this fight by knockout?
Every fight, every fight you want to make a statement and look good. With the last fight, it wasn't the best performance and it wasn't exciting. So this is another opportunity for me to make it a good fight and make it a finish in good fashion.
Yeah, is the key to making your way to the top of the tree and getting a chance to box for a second world title, is it about making statements? Yeah, winning is all that matters because it gets you up the rankings, but do you need to get people sitting up in their chairs and taking notice that you're a serious contender in the chasing pack now?
I think winning is the most important thing, but it's how you win. That captures the attention of supporters and fans. So it's good to win, but you need to win in good fashion, and that's what's going to get people excited again about the climb back to the top.
Have you seen all you need to see, or are you going to hang around and watch his open workout, or are you going to get back on the pool table or the ping pong table or rest up in your room? What are you going to do now?
I'm going to play some poker.
Poker with Chris Eubank Jr. He's a professional.
Get a training session in and just relax. We already know what he's going to bring. We need to be here to watch him and make him nervous.
Yeah, okay. Rest up. Thank you for joining us. Go well.
Thank you.
Cheers, Joe.
It's
cool customer, isn't he?
Yeah, but it is strange because we are in the bubble. It's at that point that everybody waits for a round of applause, but of course everybody just stands still. There, it is a strange atmosphere. So everybody that thinks we're being incredibly disrespectful, that there's no one here. We are in a bubble. It's limited what we can do to generate an atmosphere. So let's just go back to the comments while we wait for Dereck Chisora, the last one. Derek Owens. Parker's got a great chin. Dell definitely not going to get the KO. Yeah, Joseph Parker's got a granite chin. Obviously never been stopped. He has been down against Dillian Whyte. Faye Atkinson, I believe Whyte would end Parker if they had another fight. We enjoyed it, so we would see it again. A couple of people talking about how Joseph sounds. I think the water went down a wrong hole and he started choking at the start of the interview there. I don't think that was anyone's fault. Abul, Dereck Chisora is a throwback fighter. Yeah, he definitely is. Nick, he should sing his own song on entrance or do a dance. He was entertaining in lockdown. Yeah, he really, really was. And I think he's going to ring walk to Roy Jones Jr. and obviously Roy is in the bubble, so that's the sort of joke going around. Can we convince Roy Jones to rap out Joseph Parker can't be touched? Stephen Cookie, can't see him beating Del Boy. Boxing Talk TV again. Usyk struggled to keep Del Boy off him. Not sure Parker has the footwork, but you could perhaps argue Parker has more power than Usyk and might not need to. Memento, hope Del Boy brings his speaker with him. Yeah, that was chaos last night. Dereck Chisora walking up and down the corridors with Elvis on the Duke.
Did you see Derek?
Yeah, you've spotted something that I haven't there.
I spotted he's wearing a dressing gown as well, a little bit like Joe Parker. I think he obviously missed out on one in your room.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong room. I didn't get a free dressing gown or any slippers or anything like that. I've just had to dress myself. Those of you that are...
You've got to ask nicely.
Yeah, it's who you know, Adam, as you well know. So...
Ladies
making his way
is
Del Boy, Dereck Chisora.
For the WBO Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, Dereck Chisora v. Joseph Parker. And now, headed to the ring for his media workout, his professional record, 32 wins, 10 defeats, 23 wins coming by way of knockout.
That's right.
Here is the former British,
That's what all the people say.
the former European, and the former WBO Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, fighting out of Finchley, North London, England, Cowboy, Derek
As I said, Chisora's been walking up and down the corridors with his jukebox singing to Elvis.
Is he on your floor?
No, he's not. He's on the top floor, but I could hear it. You've seen some clips on social media we've put out. The whole show's in town. The Madness is here. It was brilliant. It was Elvis earlier. It's Frank Sinatra now. Derek loves his music. We had the record player on full blast, which was a bit of Dire Straits, I think.
Dire Straits?
Yeah. Mark Knopfler. Can see the team is here. Buddy McGirt is the big addition. So let's talk about that, because you know Buddy McGirt.
Yeah, I do.
Obviously, we've got a bit of an insight because Matt Macklin on our punditry team, your co-commentator, was trained by Buddy McGirt, so he told us a little bit about it. What will Buddy bring?
Well, the other morning, actually, Derek FaceTimed me, and he said, I want you to meet someone. I want you to see who I've got now. And there was Buddy, and it was really nice because I go back a long way with Buddy McGirt. He trained a lot of fighters that obviously we worked with over the years, the likes of our own Matt Macklin, Paulie Malignaggi. He had a long time with Clifford Etienne, many fighters that we've come across, and Buddy's based in Vero Beach. He was always absolutely terrific to us to go up and spend time with, and he was a great fighter himself, James, Buddy McGirt, and listen, he will add plenty of experience, plenty of knowledge to Dereck Chisora. Now Derek knows his way around the ring. If he doesn't now, after nearly 20 years in the sport, he's not going to learn anything great, but I think what he's good is, last time he had a corner that we basically had a plan of just putting the pressure on Usyk from start to finish, that titanic effort. I think he needs to be a little bit cuter against Joe Parker. I think that the only way he could have beaten Alexander Usyk was to do that, because just literally try and break a guy that is fairly new to the heavyweight division. Joseph Parker's a full heavyweight. He's gonna need a little bit more to have a chance really here of shining against Joe Parker. I think that's why he's brought Buddy McGirt in. Little nuances. There's going to have to be something else Derek brings. Some very, very good point on the feed, on the stream, saying that Parker will have a plan A and a B. Will Derek, or will it just be plan A? But I think Buddy's in. I remember Paulie Malignaggi telling me with Buddy McGirt it was plan A, B, C, D. I think there'll be other things that Buddy will bring. But again, they've been together a very short time, just like Andy and Joe.
What was the amazing, bizarre analogy you used earlier, that if you've got a horse at Cheltenham and you've got a runner, you're not going to tell him to slow down, you're not going to tell him not to run?
Well, I wanted to fight Derek a bit on that, because of course you've got a jockey to help sort of control the pace, and I think he's going to have to do that. He can't just blindly go out and just apply non-stop pressure round after round, because he'll run out of steam, or we saw it against Usyk that he could do that, but Usyk took his time and used his boxing skills. Joe's gonna, Parker's gonna try and back him up as well, I think. So I think Buddy's in here for just to change the pace at times, just to sort of cajole him through it, as opposed just to force him out every time, round after round, because we know that's what Derek can and will want to do. But at the same time, he's got to make sure he wins some of the rounds too. And I think there was a lot of debate about the Usyk fight, but I think we felt that Usyk was winning those rounds, or a lot of them. And although it was an amazing effort from Derek, and the energy was phenomenal, he has to win the rounds. He has to outbox Parker at times, and we know he's capable, but we know how good Parker can be too. So I think Buddy's been brought in a bit like Andy Lee, just to freshen things up, and a little look at, I think, in having a guy like Buddy in the corner each round he goes back to, just to give him something else to think about, Derek. So it's not just one pace and one way.
I apologise on my music, people.
Derek, I don't think you do need to apologise for music. It's been getting a lot of love online, actually, because we've had a little bit of Dire Straits. We had Elvis last night. What did we have there? Frank Sinatra.
Don't even say, you about to forget his name, ain't you? Who? James Bond. No, don't tell me.
I was just about to say we are live. No, that's
James
okay.
Brown. James Brown. I say James Bond for some reason.
Can I just ask you? Look, you're getting loads of love, loads of comments coming in. People supporting you. What can you deliver for the fans on Saturday night? What do you want to deliver?
Same thing I always deliver, man. War. Craziness.
Is that how you see this fight going? You said to us, look, we think he's going to get on his bike and it's down to me to catch him. Do you think that he will get on his bike, or do you think
Yes, he's going to get on his bike.
Do you challenge him to meet you in the centre of the ring?
Even if I challenge him, he's not going to.
Can you close the distance? Can you get to him?
Yes, I can. I can get to anybody. Just keep going. I told you, I say this before, I'm going to eat so much leather, I have to eat leather. This is the name of the game. And that's going to happen. I'm going to eat, but I'm going to deliver some leather too.
Yeah, if I have to walk through fire to get you, I'm still going to get you type mentality.
Exactly, yeah.
Can you just give a shout out to everybody that has tuned in to watch this stream, waited for you? Like I say, you're getting a lot of comments and a lot of love.
Thank you very much. I hope you guys are safe and enjoying this opening of the country, basically, and going to the pubs, restaurants, and enjoying your life right now, because the last 2 years have been bad, but we're getting back on track now.
Go well on Saturday night. Thank you for all the access so far this week. Look forward to catching up with you. And those of you that are staying on the 8th floor, enjoy the Dereck Chisora playlist later on. Those of you that are staying on the those of you that are on the 7th floor, enjoy the Dereck Chisora playlist later on. Those of you that are on the 6th floor, enjoy the playlist later on. Buddy, late to see you. We are live on Sky Sports.
Nobody's got corona in here. It's a bubble, so you can
take that thing off. You can take the mask off just for this one. Buddy, you've been working with Derek a short time now. What have you been working on behind closed doors? What's he been like to train? What are your predictions ahead of Saturday? What do you want to see?
I mean, listen, he's Derek. What are you going? I mean, but the good thing about him in the gym, whatever I ask him to try, he tries it. Not changing him, because you're not going to change him. The key is to smooth out the rough edges as best as you can, and try to get him in position quicker to get off his shots instead of waiting so long, staying outside. Because Parker's a sharpshooter. You know, I mean, everyone knows that, and everyone knows what Derek brings. So we just gotta keep a pace going and get him into the trenches eventually.
What's the mixture of characters and personalities been like? When we asked him about you, we said, look, what's Buddy McGirt like? He said he sits quietly, keeps himself to himself, and then we work. And when we work, we really work. What's it like training Dereck Chisora? We know what Derek's like. When you signed up to this project, did you know? Yes. Well, I had an idea. You know, when he called me one day and I said, yo, how's the weather in England? He just bust out laughing. He goes, you're effed. so then, you know, listen, I can talk a lot of trash, you know what I mean? But, you know, I'm the new kid on the block. So, you know, I had to, you know, get in, get my groove in and get in with it. I had to get in where I fit in, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, the funny thing about him is that he'll come into the gym and he'll have, like, a real scowl on his face. And he'll look at me really mean. I just start laughing. You know, I break out laughing, then he'll start laughing, and then we start our day. What about this morning? You were in the gym and Joseph Parker came in and you gave him a little bit of trash talk. You know what? I met Joseph when he was a kid. I did mitts with him in New Zealand. You know what I mean? He boxed Monty Barrett. You know what I mean? I met his family. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. You know what I mean? And then when I heard about him later on, I was like, damn, I remember that kid. And he remembered. You know what I mean? He remembered me. And I like to joke around. You know what I mean? A lot of people, you know, they get mean. What the hell are you going to get mad for? You know what I'm saying? You know, we're in the business of fighting. So getting mad ain't going to make you win the fight. Ain't going to make you, you know, do any better. Either you can fight or you can't. So.
That's a towel, mate. You're
dripping, boy.
One question, if you don't mind me asking it. Derek, you know, you heard what he just said there, that he's no mercy, war is on the cap. The one thing about Joseph Parker is we know he's got a good chin. He was down against Dillian White, but he's never been stopped. Do you think that Dereck Chisora can become the first man to stop Joseph Parker? You know, I'm not looking at that. I mean, I never look for stuff like that. But I will tell you that our goal and our plan is to hit him everywhere but the bottom of his feet. So we're going to hit him on his hips, his thighs. We're not going to hit him low. But we're going to get those thighs. We're going to get there. It's not a secret. You know, we got to slow him down. That's the only way we're going to slow him down. You know, they say if you drop water on a rock long enough, the rock gives. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to hit him any and everywhere. That's the key. You know what I mean? To sit outside and wait and look for an opening, shit, by then it'd be Christmas again. So, you know, we gotta get it in quick. And not quick, but we got to attack and sustain the attack. That's the key.
we got to sustain it.
Brilliant. Listen, thank you very much for joining us. I'll let you go now. Thank you much, and I'm sure we'll catch you around the bubble.
Oh, yeah.
Great to see you, buddy.
All right, good to see you.
Adam, I'm just going to bring you back in vision just to say goodbye to everybody. So what did we do there? We did an hour and 55 minutes without any swear words, and then Buddy McGirt swore. So apologies to anyone that was offended by any of the language at the end there. Obviously, it is fight week, tensions are running high, and some colourful language may have crept in there. Your final thoughts from everything that we've seen today. Who stood out? Who came across super confident? Did we see any nerves? Did we see any chinks in any of the armour for anyone? I mean, they were all pretty on the ball, weren't they?
I think what stood out is everybody looks in fantastic physical shape, and they all seem happy. They seem happy fighters. You know, you saw Derek there, Joe Parker messing around with Andy Lee.
Incredible mood.
They're in great places. Tasha Jonas, fantastic. Marcus Morrison, relaxed. Chris Eubank Jr, possibly the star of the show, but we expected that. And you know, I think, and Katie and calm and relaxed as she always is. I think what we saw is that there is going to be, I think, the fireworks line from Marcus Morrison was good. I think there's going to be a huge amount of fireworks on Saturday night. I think it will be terrific. I think it will be Craig Richards even seemed happy and ready for his opportunity. Dmitry Bivol wants fish and chips, Andy, after the fight, and he's learned his English, and we want to see a really good performance from Bivol too. Some really interesting stories, some great characters in the bubble, some fantastic new training relationships to see how they develop. It's all set up beautifully. You know, a big heavyweight fight, a fantastic women's fight with the undisputed lightweight champion against her old foe in Tasha Jonas. You know, unexpected opportunities for Craig Richards, for Marcus Morrison, chance to see how Chris Eubank Jr has improved under Roy Jones. James Tennyson, can't wait to see him, and Campbell Hatton. You know, it's going to be a great night. It really is. And thank Craig Richards for giving us that promo earlier as well. Buy the pay-per-view. You know, it's great. I think it's a real fan-friendly night on Saturday, and we should have some great stories and great performances and 1 or 2 knockouts, I think.
Adam, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today. If you sent in a comment and I didn't read it out, I apologise, but you get an opportunity tomorrow. So wherever you watch the stream, wherever you consumed it today, tomorrow, mark the date, the time in your diary, 1 o'clock. So wherever you went to today, come back tomorrow, 2 o'clock. I'm being told 2 o'clock. Add the hour on. I am off to find my Crown Plaza free dressing gown to walk around the bubble with my ghetto blaster with whatever music I want, like Derek Chisora. So thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. We will see you tomorrow.